Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Late Night Cereal podcast. This is a podcast all about retro gaming and nostalgia with a splash of milk, because we're both eating cereal. I've got a bowl of, it looks like sweet corn.
It does actually from his angle, yeah.
Do you know what it is? I've kind of forgot the name of it.
Not gold. It looks like it's not a golden nugget type.
Golden
things.
nuggets.
In that case, let's see if we can work out what mine is then.
Okay,
you know what that is. Right, it's not a normal typical cereal.
I have no idea what that is. Is that Weetabix?
Kind of, yeah. It's Weetabix, crispy minis.
It's got chocolate in it.
Yeah, it's also it's within the dietary plan because we don't have it that much, but it's got a little bit of chocolate, but it's got just enough chocolate. It kind of feels like you're eating old style cereal. Yeah,
this looks like sweet corn. It doesn't taste like sweet corn though. It's like I don't know what to say. It looks like like the head of the honey monster from Sugar Pop. Like loads of them. Want to kill loads of them. Absolutely nothing.
Well, the thing is, when it comes to like certain cereals, the texture's a massive deal.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
Like even when I said like Rice Krispies, when I couldn't have Cocoa Pops because they didn't have any in or something, it still had that same crunch when you were in it. Because the biggest thing with cereal, I think, the crunchier the kind of better because it keeps your mouth moving the entire time you jaw, and that is a form of exercise. I don't even know. That's why a lot of people eat like celery and stuff because you're constantly crunching, and that's the same with cereal.
I always heard that with like popcorn. That popcorn's good because it keeps your heart rate going at a normal pace when you're watching like a movie or something. That's why people eat popcorn. Well, it's not the only reason people eat popcorn, obviously. So I got this because I wanted for the podcast to try out new cereals I never had before. And I went into I was at Aldi the other day, and he was selling this like it was crazy offer for like it was like 60p.
Jeez,
for a whole box. Yeah, I don't know why. I was looking at the date. It was in date. I don't know whether they're going to change the cover of it or something out of the box. And I thought I've never tried that. I normally play it safe with cereals, and I'm at a point in my life now where I want to get a little bit dangerous and try out different cereals.
Yeah,
golden nuggets as well. The gold never really appealed to me because it just looks like I don't know. It doesn't look like it. I try to pick things that kind of look like something good for you-ish. Even though it's not. Obviously, we were saying this last week. It's a sweet in a bowl, but that really does look like candy.
It does.
Do you know what I mean?
Normally, like the only way you can tell something's healthy because it's brown. Normally, every cereal's brown, isn't it?
Like bran flakes. It's got a good for you name, hasn't it? Bran flakes. And like Cocoa Pops and things like that obviously don't, but I think they were trying to... What was the name they changed Cocoa Pops to when everyone lost their minds?
Cocoa Krispies?
Was it like that?
Something like that, I think.
But there was
I forgot they changed that. Yeah.
There was a crazy like uproar. Everyone went nuts. Oh, I saw this video the other day I love, right? It was a marketing scheme that happened in Canada years ago. And I don't know, you might have heard me talking about this on the stream the other day. So it's basically when they had to bring back Shreddies because they weren't selling well in Canada. So they re-released them as diamond-shaped Shreddies, which are basically, you know, Shreddies are square.
Yeah.
So when they put the images out, they just showed them.
They just turned it
like that. And, they were like, and everyone was like, what? And they showed a video of some of the market research. There was people coming in and trying these new diamond shaped Shreddies. And before, like, the reactions were like you couldn't understand it. But before they could kind of say anything, they had a kind of scientist in there going, well, actually, we've developed it turned out a different flavor because of the shape and all this. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. And then they brought out a tray with square Shreddies and diamond Shreddies and said, try them. And which one do you prefer? And people are like, oh, yeah, the diamond shaped Shreddies are better. It's amazing. But then again, everyone lost their minds with that one in the public and said, we want our square Shreddies back. So apparently they brought out a combo pack, which had diamond Shreddies and square Shreddies in the pack.
That's very complicated.
It's which is amazing. It's just the same shreddy, isn't it? But that's incredible. Like, it's the same thing happened with Coke in the 80s. Didn't they have that? Was it what was the Coke called? New Coke, wasn't it? New Coke in America they had, and it was a very brief time. Everyone were nuts. Coca-Cola thought they were onto a new thing because Pepsi had come out, and they were and Pepsi were doing really well. So Coke thought we're gonna have to do something. So they changed the ingredients and changed the flavour, and they thought they were onto a winner. They're going to make some amazing Coke. Everyone went nuts and went, we want the old one back. Everyone was, all the big supermarkets weren't buying any. So what they did, they just changed it back, and everyone went, yeah, Coke's back. And they sold loads more Coke, which is ridiculous.
Weird. People were bored of the old stuff, don't like the new stuff, and want the old stuff back. I think because if it's gone, you do miss it. It's like a TV show. If it be getting really bad, like they keep trying to keep it going. People go, get rid of it. They get rid of it. They bring it, but then people say, "Oh, why has it not come back again?" They then re-release it again, and then it's sort of
it never ends. It never ends. But it's hilarious. But it's a way of just kind of reinventing the same thing, reinventing the wheel or whatever. Through marketing, it does work because we're all suggestible and we're all sheep. It just works, doesn't it? Anyway. Let's move on to our first proper segment, which is what have you been playing? What have you been playing this week?
The main ones I've been playing this week is the first day of Mega Man X Command.
Oh God, what's that like?
Mega Man X Command Mission. That's it. Got a name right there.
I couldn't get to the end of that name then because I'm like, as soon as I heard Mega Man X, I was like, I'm never going to remember this. It's just I was saying this last time after the original Mega Mans. I'm like.
Yeah, I do get a bit like foggy with them all now, to be quite honest. But this one, I'm going to say it's an RPG Mega Man, which is very bizarre. But it has different elements to it. Like it isn't just you take your turn, then take their turn. There's like a timeline, and if you use a more powerful attack, you miss out on redoing your attack.
Is it turn-based?
It is turn-based, but it's not always you hit, then they hit. You hit, then they hit. It all depends on what you're using. If you're using a more powerful weapon, you have to wait a couple of turns, things like that. So you got to kind of think, right, do I use a powerful attack now? And I was a bit concerned because I'm thinking, right, and learning a new battle system, especially RPGs, because as I said before, I've only ever done Final Fantasy VII, and I'm going to do a little bit number one, and that's it, sort of thing. So my knowledge is really bad with RPGs, but it's I'm picking it up all right actually so far. I'm enjoying it. I've done about 4 or 5 hours on it so far.
That's pretty good.
But so far, I'm really impressed because a lot of people, it's very mixed bag. It's like a lot of things because it's Mega Man. People want to play Mega Man, but when there's an RPG element, it's like, whoa, that's not my Mega Man. It's a bit like when Paper Mario came out. It's like, well, it's not the same. But you either love it or you hate it. And so far, I'm really enjoying it so far.
That's a good comparison with Paper Mario because for the longest time, I was like, I just want more mainline Mario games, and they had a perfect kind of like path there. They need Mario 1, Mario 2, Mario 3, and then Mario 4 being Mario World, I guess. But and then they started doing all the other ones and the Mario and Luigi games and then the Paper Marios and all that stuff. And I got a bit like, not just overwhelmed, but more like I just couldn't catch up with them all. So I get it, but then I realised actually there's like a lot of really good games out there and these characters lend themselves out to other genres and they should be allowed to. So Mega Man doing that with RPGs, it shouldn't be something that we go, oh, it's because the longest time it's been a kind of linear kind of platform game, but it doesn't mean like you can't go off and do something else.
No, that's honestly, it's one that's like really interesting and glad I'm sort of giving it a go. I'm playing the GameCube version. There's a PS2 version as well, but if you use the GameCube version, I haven't tried this yet. Apparently you can hook up your Game Boy Advance to it while you're playing it and it works like kind of like a radar system.
Oh, that's cool.
And it looks for like additional the currency in the game. I haven't tried it yet, but it sounds quite interesting.
I think you should try that. Yeah.
So I've done a little bit of that. So I've only really, excuse me.
Is this
only
part
done?
of?
So I go.
I want to say, is that Mega Man game part of a compilation that's just come out? Remember, because they announced a new Mega Man compilation, and I remember seeing it thinking, I just don't know those games.
Technically, it does follow suit after Mega Man X. I've got to look around now. 8? Yeah, 8. Yes, I lose track.
So many.
Mega Man X8 because there's characters in it. There's someone called Axel. It's like a moody teenager character, and then you've got Zero and X, which makes it more confusing because technically it's called Mega Man, but you're not actually Mega Man. You're X. Because Mega Man was many, many years ago.
Oh, I see. So Mega Man's dead in this.
Yeah, he's not even in this anymore. He's not technically Mega Man.
Wow.
It's someone called X. But everyone said Man because everyone knows it, or Rockman, you know, whatever you would do it. So it's set many years into the future. Like something silly like 2,000 years. I can't remember the exact year. Someone will probably tell me.
He's got to come up though, isn't it, in the game somewhere? Do people talk about him? As some kind of
Wiley,
character.
Doctor.
He's not
even the main bad guy, Dr. Wily, is not actually in it. It's a different bad guy because
he's got to be dead by now. Yeah,
he's dead, and Dr. Light as well. The guy, but he's in this game, but as a hologram, and he's sort of saying to you, "Oh, X, you'll need, you know, hopefully you won't ever need to use this weapon or armor." So technically, he's in it, but he's a hologram of his, like, you know, his former self.
I suppose they can't call it X, can he? He needs the kind of.
It would be too confusing.
No,
yeah,
it would be
that's why it's called. That's why it's called X. Yeah. It's not because it's X as in 10.
10. I actually thought it was that when you said it. Yeah, yeah. And aside to the guide, before you move on to your other game, do you know when I'm reading a magazine? This is, I don't know why it reminded me of this. Do you know when you're reading a magazine and you're well into the story or into the article, and it's halfway through the sentence and you're supposed to go over to the next page? I hate it when they've got a big box on the side of information to read. I'm like, well, I'm in this article. Like, why do I have to read this box on the side? Do you ever get that? It annoys me so much. And it's because I don't know what to do. Should I turn the page and finish the article, or should I read these boxes on this page first?
Yeah, I've had that. I've even got lost with where I'm meant to be reading the section, especially when it's quite an in-depth section. You read it, then that bit comes up. Top tip. You're right in the middle of it, and then you go, right, where was I on it?
And I get why they do it. They need to split it up because then it's just a big wall of text. But I'm like, I just don't want to turn the page before I've read everything on that page. And it's just maybe it's a weird thing we've got. Yeah, let us know in the comments if you're the same, because I don't think anyone ever mentions this, and it's just one of my bugbears.
Oh. Okay. Well, I've got saying that when I had a guide when I was playing Majora's Mask, and it's Danny's original guide. It's original. It's literally falling apart. You kind of got to hold it in an angle because it would fall apart in your hands. But I was following this really in-depth mission, and it was a trail on from do this to this, speak to this person, and move on and get this, and do this. And I started reading it, and I got lost in the part of the guide from what I had to do, and I was just like, I can't be bothered. It seemed too much effort to try and work it out from there.
Yeah, I get that.
And sometimes I struggle with guides, so I can't really cheat with guides. You know, people say that because I struggle to try and follow them exactly.
I prefer a video guide, to be honest.
I do. That's the problem with like YouTube. It's go, right, I just want to know where this section is, and it's easier to see it from that.
Well, easier. Okay, what else have you been playing then?
And the other game, I'd say I've been playing Paper Mario and the 1,000-Year Door with Danielle on Sundays. And I think we're right near the end now. We're getting quite close to the end.
What? So I've never played any of the Paper Mario games. I know they're is it kind of like the Mario RPG game? Is it like
basically? Because Paper Mario is a kind of sequel to Mario RPG. But the reason why I didn't call it Mario RPG 2 or anything like that is because technically, is it Square or Square Enix? Like at that time, because obviously it was Square before it's Square Enix or whatever. And so technically it's their kind of property. So Nintendo come up with Paper Mario. Well, like they wanted a theme. They called it Paper Mario, but technically it is Mario RPG 2.
Oh, really?
It works in the same sort of. It works in the same sort of way, like in the way of when you attack somebody, you can just press a button to attack, and it is turn-based. But the difference is when you do a certain attack, you just do jump on somebody. As you jump, if you hit jump again just before you land on them, you get an additional hit.
Isn't that the same in Mario? That's the same thing in Mario RPG. I've played it years ago.
Yeah,
but there's exactly. Some kind of time-based thing.
Yeah, that's why it's Mario RPG 2 because you're doing the same sort of thing, and it's got more adult humor to it as well. And the same with when you defend. As I go to attack, if you hit the defense button just at the right time, depending on the attacker's move, you can take less damage from
wow.
it. So
Is that
that's why it makes it a bit interesting.
Is that the one that he's recently re-released, or is
Yeah,
that? Oh my god!
yeah,
Because
yeah.
they've got
So
that and the re-release of the Mario RPG. I can't believe Nintendo have just been throwing things out recently, haven't they?
I know,
Which is nuts for them.
and it's been interesting because, like, because my copy of Paper Mario Thousand Year Door is the original one I bought back in the day, but because it didn't play like a Mario game, I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah,
It doesn't play like Mario.
yeah,
I put it back on the shelf for the years, and then I've given it a go since they brought out a re-release, which is basically it's the same game. They've added some little quality of life bits and pieces. But they've also changed some parts as well. They've kind of censored certain parts.
Oh really? What kind of
Isn't
parts?
like swearing, but it's like, for example, I think I'm not quite sure because again, someone told me in chat. You one of the characters gets called like a fatso or something like that,
Oh really?
and
Yeah.
then
Okay.
they've changed it in a newer
Yeah.
version to not
I guess.
sound as harsh.
Yeah. It doesn't really need to be in there. I guess.
Yeah,
You can
it's a
change
bit.
things like that.
Yeah, back then it doesn't really matter as much, but
Yeah.
then they changed it for that. But that's it still looks gorgeous on GameCube as well. It's just
Yeah. I
especially
suppose
like,
the reason for the new one as well, it's going to be a hell of a lot cheaper to buy than the one on the GameCube now.
yeah, because my one I bought I got it when it came out, and I think I got an offer for like £30 brand new, and that was when it was on GameCube originally. But for the game now, I think obviously it changes every week price of games, but I think it's around about something like 70 quid or something for a complete copy.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I kept hold of that copy. That's for sure.
Yeah, don't get rid of that. I don't think you will. Have you got a copy of the new one? Or
no, I don't. I didn't bother. It's the same with Mario RPG. I guess I would kind of like to have them, but I'd rather, if I'm going to spend £40 on a new game or £50, I'd rather it be something that I don't have rather than a re-release.
Definitely put it allotted somewhere else. Yeah, I agree.
I would. But if you haven't got the GameCube version, or it's same with Mario RPG, you never had the SNES version.
Yeah.
The Switch versions are fantastic. They're not lower versions. It's just like I personally don't see the point of double dipping essentially.
I'd like a physical copy of Mario RPG, as in the new version, because we never got one. We got ones on the old kind of was it the Virtual Console? I mean, I knew it was definitely on the 3DS Virtual Console because I remember being there.
Yeah, and I think we got it on the Wii U shop. Or was it the Wii? Oh no, I think it was on the Wii shop actually as well, because they were mad on there. They had like PC Engine games, Mega Drive games.
I mean, it's good now what they're bringing out, but my word, I wish they just throw out everything that was already out years ago. Obviously, some licensing issues, but I'd love to get a copy of Mario RPG at some point. That's on my list.
Honestly, you would love it, even though it's an RPG game.
I'm not mad on turn-based though. That's the thing.
But the thing that makes it, I think that kind of puts it over the edge a little bit over normal. You ain't just like wait for your turn, press a button, they do their turn again. With this one, it's all about timing as well.
I do like that.
So you do your attack, and like a fireball one, you might have to. There's a certain fireball attack on Mario RPG where you've got to bash the button. The more you hit the button, the more fireballs come out. So there is little elements of that and little race
of like the modern Final Fantasy games. They're a bit more involved in that respect as well, where they're not just like you're standing in a line waiting for your turn. You actually all get to do stuff. It looks that way anyway. Yeah, I've just never really been. I don't know what it is. I think I'm just too lazy, especially when you've got like a team of like 10 people or something, and you got to remember what items they've got. And I'm like, oh, I can't. I just want to get in there and hack with the sword. And I was so basic, but that's just the way I am.
It's one of those. If you start that game from scratch, you kind of know how your characters work.
Yeah,
you ain't thrown in with a million moves. What do I do now? Honestly, you because every time you level up, you learn a new move. So that time you've got used to what that item does or that move does. So when you learn a new one, you go, "Oh, I can use this one instead." It seems really daunting, especially if you watch someone else play a game like that. You see them going, right, I'm going down to this ability, doing this, and you're thinking, what's going on?
I've seen people on Twitch play turn-based games that are just blow me away. Like the press all the buttons and all these items, all this item, this, blah, 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 and I'm like, I don't know, it's too much for me. As you said, it probably isn't if you start the game from scratch.
It's literally, it's like, you will learn. It's like any game. It's like jumping into a game that has a load of attack combos or whatever
Yeah.
it's saying. You know what button combos, you learn it over time. It's the same with those, but it's just when you see everyone else
I
doing it, it
did
is really
start
daunting.
Final Fantasy 4. I think it was like early this year, and I was getting into that, and then life got in the way, and I'm like, really, it's a daunting prospect to go back to it now. Thinking, ooh, you know,
Yeah, that's the only point of RPGs or any big open world games. As soon as you put it down for a week,
yeah.
you find more reason not to go back because you think, oh, I can't remember what I'm doing here. What do I do on this bit?
But I
And then you kind
suppose
of
that's
put
good
yourself
with a
off.
lot of game. Metrovanias are like that as well, because you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
'cause that's a really bad one for that, because you don't remember which parts of the game you can now go to because you've got
yeah.
that new ability or whatever. But anyway, yeah, that's your two games.
Anyway, yeah,
I'll
sure.
mention mine. So on the last podcast, I mentioned a game that I couldn't remember the name of for ages, and I was just like
Oh,
racking my brains. I actually edited that part of the podcast out where I was like couldn't remember, and I was coming up with random names. I cut that whole section out so it just looked like I couldn't remember it after about 2 attempts. No, it was about 50 attempts. I could not remember it. It's called Thank Goodness You're Here, and
yeah.
it's a kind of indie title. It's a new game actually. It's a retro-inspired indie point-and-click game, and I completed it on stream a couple of weeks ago. Well, just after that podcast, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's called Thank Goodness You're Here because you're a little character who just wanders into situations where someone needs your help, and they just instantly go, "Oh, thank goodness you're here!" So you know you've got to do something for them. So
Yeah.
now I will never forget that title. I'll probably forget that title in a humorous bit in a minute. But it was so funny. It was like it was a bit weird for me because I don't normally play games that are slightly over family friendly. It wasn't family friendly. There was moments in that game where I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But it was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. And it honestly opened floodgates of me wanting to try more games like that. More kind of like I wanted to try new games anyway at the end of the week.
Yeah.
But that game was just like short enough for me to complete on a stream because I don't stream that crazy out, that like long hours as much as I used to. And it was so funny, and the animation was great. The vocal work, the voice work was so good, and it's only made by 2 people. Well, they outsource a lot of
Was
the work.
it? I didn't know that.
They outsource a lot of the work to a lot of other people. Obviously, all the music and all that, I guess. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it's just headed by 2 people, so it is an independent in game. But I can't wait to see what else they come up with. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. I don't know if like I was talking about this last time, like because you play a lot of retro stuff like me on stream, when do you have chance to play anything that's new coming out? Will you ever envision a time on your stream where you go, I'm going to dedicate a day where I play a brand new retro game or something?
Yeah,
You've
there
done it in the
might.
past. You've done the odd thing where you've played like a new physical game or something like that, like you've been gifted or something, from a company.
Yeah, I've done that before, and there was one that I have been offered it. I need to follow it up, but it's a game that looks like it looks a bit like Minish Cap, but it's by another developer. I can't remember the title,
There's a
but
lot of those
I've
games
never
that
heard
look
of
like
it.
Zelda, don't they? The new ones, and they look great.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And before I was a bit like, oh yeah, because I've been offered games before in the past, and it's been multiplayer horror games because I'm always playing them, aren't I?
Yeah.
So yeah. I was going to say to you about your game as well.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to complete in the end?
I would say about 3 hours, like
Oh,
with an
okay,
hour
that's
chat
pretty
at the
good.
start, so 4 hour streams at the moment. But yeah, about 3 hours. It's weird because it had a moment like 3/4 way through the game where I thought it was gonna end, and I felt like, oh, that's satisfying. There's a nice ending to it. It's weird, but
Yeah.
you feel like it's all come together, and then it didn't end. And you went straight back into it, and
Oh,
I was like, oh, and that threw me. And I made it. I'm kind of weirdly kind of trying to comprehend if this is a good thing or not, because it made the game feel longer. Because then you threw back into the game for not that long, maybe about 20 minutes later, then you complete the game. But it made the game feel longer than what it was. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
I think it's one of those where because you've got loads of little missions and I need to go and speak to
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the game being played, but so like I need to go speak to the butcher or I need to go and see that mechanic guy or whatever, and then you've done them bits, and then all of a sudden you don't know what you're meant to go to next. You think, oh, that must be near the end now. Was it one of them
Yeah.
situations where
It's
you like, where do I go now for a
It's an
moment?
odd game because you don't have like an inventory or anything like that. You just kind of
No.
wander into situations. And half the time for me, I don't know if anyone else out there had this when they were playing it. I kind of didn't know what I was doing. I was always just trying to find the next area, or I'd be stuck in an area, go, how do we get out of this to the area I was in before or the one after it? Because it has a kind of flow, but sometimes those entrances and exits are going to be blocked. So you have to find a different entrance or exit into the next bit. And as soon as you do that, the story normally unfolds to the next bit because you just lead you down different paths. So as soon as you start realizing that in the game, where you're just supposed to just go with the flow and let the story kind of continue as you go to the next part, then it works. But at the start, I think a lot of people, because I did see another streamer actually playing it having the same issue. We're going, well, where do we go now? And I think because we've got our gaming heads on, you know,
I say you kind of you want that what do you call, what's the word? You kind of want to hit tab, but you want to see what's next on your quest to do.
Yeah.
You need that instructions for next rather than just throwing.
But is that like just an archaic kind of gaming rule that we don't really need? Is it better to just have something that goes with the flow? But I suppose it would be better if you instantly knew it was that sort of setup, I guess. But I suppose it's teaching you that by the fact that, oh, this is what you do. But it took me like halfway through the game to realize I don't have to like think about it too much. I just have to just go to the next section. And I've probably missed loads of parts in it as well, you know, because I got the Switch version.
That's probably what it is. That's probably what it is. The fear of missing on, if I didn't go left, if I went right to the left, I could have spoke to this person, something else would have
exactly. And I'm like you, I just want to kind of explore the whole thing. Yeah. And I was worried I was missing parts. And because I play the Switch version, which doesn't have achievements, and I was watching someone else. And as soon as they did something, they got an achievement for doing something. And because I wasn't getting that positive reinforcement with a little trophy or something, that I felt a little bit more lost. And like, I don't know, is it a better experience or a less than better experience? Because I think of the trophies, it just made me want to play it again to go and get the achievements on Steam, for example. I just wish Nintendo would put trophies and achievements in.
I was literally having the same conversation with someone the other day, and it's mad because they could do something really creative with
their own one,
alerts, couldn't they? Little Pixel Mario would pop up, and it'd be like a little thing would pop up, or a different character, or you could even theme it or something like. Because some games on Switch do have achievements under their own.
Like Shredder's Revenge or something like that has loads built in, you know.
Yeah,
but. I know people will complain and say, "Oh, well, because sometimes they say it's intrusive when they're playing a Steam game with, it's a big story and it's really harrowing and you're crying and so this achievement comes up. Well done, you did it. And you're like, well, it kind of lessens the emotion. But for the option to switch it off would be great.
Simple notifications on or off.
Yeah, because this is the thing. I mean, you've talked about a lot of like we stream on real hardware. But we would love to have the option of doing achievements through retro hardware. And I'm always a bit jealous when you see someone doing achievements.
Yeah.
Because I would do that, but I want to justify the fact that I'm collecting. So I've got this like vicious circle. I collect something, and that means I can't do achievements on it. You know, and I want that little pop-up to say I've done something crazy. Like, the way I'm playing that Nintendo World Championship Deluxe, whatever it's called. I want that, but with every game, you know.
Yeah, well, that's like, and also every game, if you do retro achievements, all that stuff goes onto a profile on the website itself, so you can see what games you've completed and how far you got into them and all that stuff. And it's that nice bit of extra satisfaction.
Apparently, there's a way you can attach it to like an EverDrive or something like that and do it that way.
I was speaking to Jay's a little while ago, and if you've got the Super Pack, which is like the top end Super Nintendo EverDrive, apparently you can, I don't know how it's done, but you can attach that to retro achievements somehow. But I haven't.
But again, that's another step of like, I mean, that's using real hardware, I guess. But like, when you collect loads of cards,
Well, because the idea is, it's I think because you can have like wireless updates going to a cartridge. I think I could be wrong, but because you can get SD card. Well, I don't know about much anymore, but I remember they used to do them. You could use to get SD cards for cameras that had built-in Wi-Fi. So when you took a picture, it uploaded it.
Oh, wow.
Which is amazing. Cool. And I don't see much of that around anymore. But they could do something like that. They could have a cartridge where it could have an option to do it, or something in between that has wireless onto it, and then it links with the cartridge. I wish I was like a software engineer, because I would honestly give it a really good go.
A lot of it's got to be just manpower, because it's obviously it's easier to work on ROMs and things because get in there. But yeah, it's is it worth it to work on a cart that not a lot of people have got compared to the access they've got to emulation?
Well, the other thing is also it's still going on. They haven't done everything on RetroArch. For example, what I found out the other day, because obviously from a couple of streamers, the GameCube has just been added. It
Oh,
hasn't always
really?
been in it. Yeah, so
Oh,
that's why if you
okay.
see on Twitch a lot of people playing GameCube games on RetroArch, is because they've now got achievements applied to GameCube games.
Okay. Wow, I thought it was all there.
Yeah,
So I
I
suppose
thought
by
so,
now,
but
yeah.
then it takes someone has to go into the code of the game. I don't know how it works, so everyone tell me off in the comments, but I know that they have to go into the back end of the code, and then
Yeah.
when something triggers it, that's when it
That's it,
complete a
isn't it?
level with so many lives, that sort of thing.
That's it. I mean, if Nintendo launched that idea with the next system, I mean, they could do it now with this system.
Well, they could,
I'll be happy with it. I'll be very,
yeah.
very happy with that. And the type, but maybe even if you just did it for the retro stuff, would be incredible. I know
Yeah.
that's exactly the same way of doing it for the retro achievements, but it's in a legal way,
Yeah,
Doing it
yeah.
for
Well,
Nintendo
and
Switch
it's
Online.
officially on the site. It's you
Yeah.
can access it,
Oh.
fine. You can share it or something like that without it,
And
looking
give
bad.
your profile like the way you
Yeah.
have on Xbox with a gamer score. Give your
Yeah,
profile gamer
yeah.
score. That'd be great. That'd be another. We got some other profiles a little bit later, but that'd be a reason to have a profile. I guess
Yeah.
it's Nintendo not wanting to promote competition too much because they're family friendly. I've got a feeling it's that. They've always been like that, haven't they? It's got
Or
to be
it's
something down that road.
and also it's extra, even though it probably don't take up a crazy amount, but it's server power as well. Like uploading stuff and all that, which you think
Yeah.
nothing of it, but if there's like millions of people on it,
Oh, they didn't put leaderboards in the NES, championship.
have they even done
thing?
that yet? Is that in
No,
there yet?
no. So as if they're going to think about that.
Yeah, that's
I
a good
love
point.
Nintendo.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
so behind on loads of these things that are just we take for granted in other places.
yeah.
Anyway, the other
What's
game
his
I've been
name?
playing after because thanks for the good share. I very much recommend it. Get it. It's like £12-13. So good.
And very funny as well, from what I've
Very
seen.
funny. So the other game I
sorry.
want to briefly talk about as well is me completing that other game I didn't like last time, Mr. Nuts.
I was waiting for this.
beat
Yeah,
that. I'm so glad I beat that game. I beat some of this last time, but sometimes you just normal people put games down when they don't like them to move on to something they do like.
Yeah.
That one, it got its steely claws or steely whatever squirrel grip into me. It's probably claws, isn't it?
Yeah, claws.
Probably already started with it. It got that into me, and I was just like, I'm gonna have to beat it. And every level on that, and I better players than me can beat that in one stream. I know that, but for me, it was an endurance of can I get through? Every stream was like, I just need to get to the next stage and get a password. And thank God it's got passwords. But then it did that thing, that cheap thing that these early games do, these rental games do, where the last password gets you to the last world, but there's so many stages. Where there's only 3 stages but in every level in the whole game, and at the end there's 6 and a boss. And also, this is the weirdest thing. How can you name any other game, any other platform game that ends on an ice level?
No. Oh god, it's normally around. It's rather a second or third level, or about midway.
You normally get a volcano level, volcanic level, and all that stuff at the end, don't you?
Yeah.
But a nice level, and then you fight a Yeti, like a Sasquatch, unbotable snowman, and that's the last boss. I have no idea. Maybe I missed something in the story. I have no idea why that was the last boss. You basically kill him, and then you get some text saying, "Hey, you did it," and then you just see him walking back through the levels, and you're like, "What? Okay." But it just ended weirdly abruptly like that. I feel like there was another level they should have put at the end. It just feels like that shouldn't have been the last level.
Well, it could have been. It's happened before with games where they've run out of development time, and where they've got, that's it. You got to cut off there because with the games back then, because you ain't got worried too much on story, it's so easy just to go right at the end of this certain boss. Yeah, we're in the game now. If we get a bit more in, great. If we don't, oh well, that'd be the last level because
it could be that.
there's no logic behind why you go against that boss.
I was making up stories in my head, thinking it's because like this world is frozen over most of the world, and squirrels can't get at the nuts because they're frozen in the ground, and there's too much thing. There's like no
You're
story in the game.
overthinking it.
I'm overthinking it, and the game, as I was saying last time, I mean, I'm trying to be positive, but the game's just boring. You know, it needed an extra mechanic. If it was more fun to kind of traverse through the level, like you had a hook shot or something like that, or a little propeller. There's one bit in the game I've never seen anywhere else where you take I can't remember what it was, like a bubble or something like that, and then you can float around the level. And I was like the most random thing. I've never seen it anywhere else in the game, unless there's like loads of hidden parts. No, and that's cool if there is. But it was like, you know, when in Mario World, he gets the pea balloon and he floats.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bit like that. And I was like, that just came out of nowhere. And I was like, okay, why is this like near the end of the game where they've got this ability? It must be somewhere else, and just didn't find it. But as I said last time, it's just boring. I'm not going to play the second one, although someone was saying it is on stream. And that just make me want to have a little look at it, see if they added any.
Didn't someone say it was like Amiga only as well? That
Amiga only. That's why it's on stream. Yeah. But I think there was a prototype on consoles, at least one of the console, but it was unfinished. But I think it was finished on Amiga. I might be wrong about that. But I do want to check it out to see if they added anything.
The other thing was because I've been listening to the stream rather than see it visual, and that last level song, they don't change it up. It's that same song because you've been used to playing a game, but when you only hear it as well, they don't change it up. And all I hear is like
the same jingle over and over again.
The same jingle in the background.
Oh, it's not as worse as when I saw One Up Jack, if you're watching, when he was playing Wonder Boy, the first one, and he was taking up, because that's a tough game. Yeah. And all you hear is this. I can't even remember the sound now, but I just sat there with the guitar playing it over and over because I was going nuts listening to it. And it was like ding, 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 ding.
That's not the Turtles theme song.
It does sound like Turtles now. It's mixed in with Turtles, but it was just the same. Remix, It was just the same, but it was like throughout the entire game. You get to the next level, you fight the boss. Next level, same music. It's like, that is lazy. But I guess it's coming off the arcade or something, isn't it? So they didn't, add any effort in it. Didn't realize people will be sitting there for hours playing it at home, I guess. But music does really matter in these games. Like, it really matters. So if you hear something for too long, it could just get at you and get at you and get at you.
It's right, when you say bad music in a game, is the first one I think of is when you were doing Tasmania. The game looks decent enough.
Yeah,
it plays okay, but you could get through it. But that music and sound is awful.
It actually made it unplayable for me. I was like, because every time he jumped and made a sound, it impacts the soundtrack, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you don't want to do it.
I don't like that.
You don't want to play it.
I don't like that at all. It reminded me of what was I playing? I was playing was it a NES game or SNES game of Last Action Hero, I think it was, and the music dips.
Oh yeah.
And it gets louder depending on how many enemies on the screen. And it's kind of like on paper, that's kind of like an interesting idea. It's dreadful. It's dreadful. That game was tough. I think it wants to be Dragon. That's what I'm thinking about now, because it ended up like having 3 enemies on the screen. You got to jump over one of them. I remember Dragon was like that.
Yeah.
I quite like Dragon.
Yeah, I had
that. Was a cool game. Never
I couldn't
beat
get past the 3 chefs. That was the bit I always got stuck on.
I think I got past it once. And I remember I liked it when you die and you kind of have to fight the big samurai guy.
Yeah.
And if you beat him, you get back, but it's just health insane. But it was a cool game, very unique for the time. But Last Action Hero wasn't. But yeah, Mr. Nut is done, and that because I've had the subvote, I've got to play Revenge of Shinobi on the Mega Drive, which I think I'm going to be on that for a while because it's a tough game, isn't it? Looking forward to that.
I haven't played enough of it to really judge, but the only one I have played was Shinobi 3.
Yes. I'm not playing that one. I've watched you play it on the spikes level at the end. I was like, it just
that's a bit to ruin the game for me. Everything up to that point. Also, the double jump mechanic is atrocious. You know, when you do a double jump, you press it once, and when you're ready to do a second jump, you press it again when you hit the height when you think you want to do it, or double tap it whenever you want. This you kind of got to hit it when you're at the highest jump. If you do it too soon or after, it will not trigger that second jump.
Ooh, that's awful, isn't it?
But you can't describe it to someone when to do it. And I hope the older game doesn't have that as well.
When you're saying that, I'm hoping that it's got a double jump in it.
Hasn't.
But I've played a bit of it. Obviously, as a kid, I never beat it or anything like that because obviously we all had Mega Games too. If you had a Mega Drive, you probably had that.
Yeah.
And I want to get through all of those games, so I'll be putting all those the other two on the subvotes at some point because I'd love to beat every game on that card. Because I played all these games with two people, like my brother growing up. Or brothers, so I never really played Shinobi as much because Streets of Rage and Golden Axe were there, so we played through those.
Oh, you did two player on that all the time.
But I never beat them on my own. Anyway, should we move on to the news then? The news this week, got loads of news this week.
Yeah.
First one we've got is new retro profiles on Nintendo Switch. You put this one down, didn't you?
Right, so the reason why I put that down is because I don't feel that no one really covers this on YouTube, really, or anything like that. It's basically, there's a thing that Nintendo have done. We talked about achievements earlier. It kind of goes with that, where you can, with the, is it silver coins? I think they're called silver coins, where you can buy emotes, not with real money, but you use it with in-game achievements. Like every time you save the cloud, every time you play a bit of a game, you earn coins, and that it's kind of incentive to play some of the stuff that's on the Switch Online.
Yeah.
And what they've done is now they've brought out a few different ones, but they've recently brought out Zelda 2, and because of the World Championship, there's a lot of like Mario Brothers 2 ones in there, Lost Levels.
This is awesome. Actually, do you know when I read this, I thought you meant that they just release some new avatars normally, but these are ones that you can actually go in and purchase with your coins.
Yeah, well, and also the way you have to earn them as well is just to play that game.
Yeah,
so example,
they're really simple, aren't they?
Yeah, because if you Super Mario World ones come out a while ago, but you couldn't just buy them with you might have a load of coins, but you can't just buy them. You at least got to play like a level or two. I can't remember the exact requirement. You got to play so much, and then you unlock to be able to.
You unlock the ability to be able to purchase them with the game points. Oh, I see. Okay, that's kind of cool. Did he look any better than the other ones, or just look kind of same style? Does it fit in with all the others?
They're all very different. It's just basically all it essentially is like the sprites for like Mario in Mario Brothers 2. It'd be just like a picture of him, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or it'd be a couple of the bad guys, or be like the old version of Bowser or Cooper.
I need to check this out.
Things like that, and it's quite nice because I get bored. I change mine all the time, but I don't I don't necessarily always want to change it. I'm always interested, and they do. The thing is, they update it a lot, but they never really tell you about it unless you go into the Switch Online app.
Yeah, I never know.
A lot of people miss it.
So I didn't even know that from what you said originally. And I've never changed mine since I set it. Look, when I first got a Switch, I've set it as Metroid. I thought the Metroid Samus one was cool, and I thought I'm keeping that. And I've never changed it. But like we were saying earlier, do you think they should do anything to the profile? Because one thing I would love is to give the ability to see a nickname of who you've had as a friend. Because when you have loads of friends, you kind of forget who. The way Steam does, doesn't it? Steam has like nicknames you can go in and check, and it needs that. Because it's like, had loads of friends. You used to have this thing, and I think they took it away where you can become like best friends or just friends. I'm sure they had that at the start.
Yeah, a little star on it. I don't know if that's still there or not.
I don't know if there is. Because unless I'm just doing it for everybody. But it feels
like they had to change a little bit how it works. They had to restrict it a little bit extra because there was an exploit where people with a hat switch could put any image on there. And people put very
Nintendo going to lock that down
on there, things like that. But then I still get frustrated that I want to put my own, like I still do it now, just hoping one day they change it. Is when I see a beautiful scenery in a game, I do a screenshot and keep it in my photos because I'm hoping one day they turn around and go, "Oh, apply a wallpaper on the backdrop of your Switch home."
That would be great.
And I'll use a screenshot. But the thing that would make it good is you can't use anything you put on your SD card. It can only be screenshots from games, which I think would be, it'll keep it like within restrictions.
It's another thing from lockdown. No, they probably won't do it for that reason, for the hacking, but I'd love that. They'd be able to change your background would be ace because, to customize it the way you like it. But also, Give a reason for people to visit your profile. Have a little segment where you can put 3 screenshots or the 3 latest screenshots from games you've took up or something like that. And you won't do it because there's loads to kind of edit there, and people might mess around with it and put, stuff from his SD card and put whatever they want.
It's like when you add a friend to the Switch, you kind of do it, but it feels a bit nothing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like you go, oh, I add you as a friend. Unless you play games online together and you're nosy. Oh, how many hours have you played of
that's all you can see. And sometimes that number doesn't even show up. And that's all you see, yeah. And that's why we were all kind of hurrying to go, oh, let's add each other as friends when the Nintendo Championship game come out. And then you don't even see each other in the game. So it's pointless.
Yeah, like...
I want to see people's ghost attempts of, my friends' ghost attempts of these games. That's all I care about. I don't care about Fast Jimmy or whatever.
Oh, no, you don't need... Yeah, exactly.
I don't care about them. I want to see how well you're doing, and I want to try and beat you. That's the thing.
The thing is that it's been around for forever. You've got ghost cars on Super Mario Kart on the SNES. If they could do it on there, no problem. Why think they'd do it on there?
Friends? It's just maybe like they'll do that with the second one, and that's a feature everyone will go, of course, we should have had that in the first one, But I don't know if they did those quality of life things in Mario Maker 2. Did they have that Mario Maker? Could you see a friend's scores of like your level?
You could see. Even on the Wii U one, because that's when I was playing it with Julio and a couple of others, where basically it updated it instantly. It's like, see if you did because we get speed running, like the shortest levels ever, where it would be jump over a block, go under a pipe, done. It's how quickly you could do it, and that made it so ridiculously fun. Just doing these super short levels, and you're doing it a tenth of a second.
Yeah,
and it was fun. But and then you go, and it did used to pop up on the Wii U. It popped up on screen. Someone's beating your score.
Oh, that's great. That's so good. And then you go in and you can see someone you're following. Or did they show that? Oh, why are they doing that with this?
Yeah, and that's on the Wii U, which is now closed. That now you can't see new people's scores, but it literally popped up on the screen while you're playing the game. Someone has beaten your score on this level.
I suppose that's the issue as well, is that if they did implement it, how long before they shut down the service? Because they're going to do that. They're going to have to do. They can't just keep the service up that long forever.
Yeah, because like you think, you want it to be on there forever, but I can understand why. Because
you can. Yeah, exactly.
You've got to move on. Yeah, you got to move on. I do get that.
And you got to be there while it's popular. You know what I mean? That's why you got to be playing it then. That's why I thought it'd be great to get on there straight away. And then it's just like, okay, they just haven't added some of the fundamental parts of what we were kind of anticipating, but we should have known it's Nintendo. But that was the news there. I'm hoping they add more to the profiles, but that's kind of a nice little addition. But again,
it's like little, but it's quite nice. And they update
you never even see it. You never even see it. Do you even see it when you turn your Switch on? Unless you've got multiple profiles on there for kids or anything. Do you see it? I haven't got any profiles for anyone else.
You do? Don't you see? I haven't got the Switch with me, but I think you see it in the left-hand corner. But I do have multiple accounts on there as well. With different because I got one for American, Japan, and UK.
I need to do that, though.
Worth doing.
Yeah, I need to do that. Okay, the next bit of news is the release of the Aero The Acro-Bat collection on consoles. I was reading about this earlier, and I'm confused of what they're doing with this, because you immediately think they're going to do a collection. I was like, that'd be cool to get the collection on the Switch or something. I never played the game, but I remember it. And I remember thinking, it's a cool game, but I never had access to it. So I was like, I wanted to get it. I want to play it at some point. But so they've got like Aero The Acro-Bat, Aero The Acro-Bat 2, Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel, which was that you played the villain in the series, and then the GBA game called Aero The Acro-Bat Rascal Rival Revenge, which is apparently just a remake of Aero The Acro-Bat with extra stuff.
Well, basically what it is, so it's because I love the first game. It's a game I played as a kid. I love that game to pieces. That was another game I finished on stream a long time ago now, but that was one I absolutely adored. And I was kind of excited because when it's a collection, again, I'm expecting all of it on one, but you buy them individually for like £8 each. I actually, did it say?
I think it's a bit cheap. I think it's like $5.99.
But that's per game. Yeah. You're like, what? Why is it not? And the thing is, because you've got the reason why they got the Game Boy Advance one on there, which it looks identical to the SNES one, but the difference is they've actually added story to it. Like in the first game, you just literally going against these evil clowns and all that, and that's it really. There's no real story behind it. But in the Game Boy Advance one, you've got a whole cut scene at the beginning where he's got a disgruntled Clown, where he's lost. He's not as popular as Aero the Acro-Bat because he's
Oh,
doing
cool.
more interesting things. So he's getting
Good story.
revenge on him. That's the actual story. But essentially,
Cool.
it's the same game with some extra bits in. But it's a good game.
What confuses me is that there's no perceived value to buying these, because
No.
what I want is a collection with some artwork, some behind the scenes stuff. Maybe listen to the soundtrack. I'm thinking of like the last like Mario collection, even though that wasn't great because they didn't do anything to the games. But I think you could listen to the soundtracks of all the games. You know, the whatever it was. And with this, you can't. And when I hit this collection, I thought, oh, that's cool, because I'm at a point in my life now where I just want collections of games like that. Like the Atari 50 was really good. And when you see them all going to be released separately and as GBA one, you think, why? It just feels like, why wasn't it on the Nintendo Switch Online as a part of that collection? And I don't get it. Unless they're going to put out a collection afterwards.
The only thing I can think of what could happen, this has happened before, they release them individually and then Limited Run will bring out a physical copy of all of them on.
For £95.
I could be wrong, but I'm calling it now.
£95 and £42 delivery.
And you've got to wait 3 years for it.
And you get a metal bottle with Aero on it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm only speaking like that because we're not in America and we have to pay loads of money to get things sent over here, and there's loads of stuff I see from like the likes of them, like, oh, it'd be nice to get that, but you know, we have to make do with none or spend a fortune. But yeah, you might be right, you might do that. And it's just annoying. I'd rather have the collection. There's so many collections that have come out, like what was the Capcom Fighters ones and all that stuff. It's nice. You feel like for a small price, 15 to 20 quid, you get a bunch of games. There was one. What was the one that came out recently? The what was the cat one? You know, the black and white cat.
What, Felix?
Felix, yeah. There was a Felix collection with like 3 games. I think it was like Felix on an NES, and the Game Boy, and something else. And I was like, that. I'm like, I might pick that up at some point. And you'd imagine that being on sale in the store, and for like, you know, £8 or something. I'd definitely pick it up. But yeah, I thought that was kind of annoying. You know, I was like, I love the idea of it. I want to play Aero because I've never played it, but.
I really enjoy the first one, but for me though, the problem is it's very nostalgic for me.
Exactly.
So
but how much is the car? I can't imagine the car being that much now, though.
The first one is popular. The first one's quite cheap. The second game, ridiculously expensive.
Yeah, that one might be worth picking up for $5.99 or whatever to do with it, and or the GBA.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Well, the SNES one, I just buy it. The SNES, the first one in the cart, I think, and then play it that way. Right. Yeah, next bit of news. The anniversary of the Game Boy, it says 35 years old now in America.
Yeah.
Now you put that in there. I didn't even realise this. I was going to get the Game Boy over and just show it off the screen. But just as we're talking about, do you know what I should do? Let me just go and grab it.
Yeah.
And through the magic of editing, I'm back with a Game Boy. That was magic, wasn't it? So I'll hold this up because we're talking about it. But isn't it crazy? Because it came out in Japan in 1989 and America. And we got it in 1990, apparently. Yeah. Which is nuts. We always got everything a bit late, didn't we?
Yeah.
But so I was going to ask, like, what's the best games for you when you think of the Game Boy? What is the defining games for you? Do you think if you had to pick 3?
I would pick 3. It'd definitely be Balloon Kid on Game Boy.
Really, never played that.
It's meant to be a kind of sequel to Balloon Fight on the NES. But you play. It's a side-scrolling, like a what do you call it? It's where the screen's always moving. I can't remember.
I see. Also scrolling. Yeah.
Yes, like an auto scroller, and the way you do it is you've got 2 balloons, and you have to kind of dodge stuff. And if balloon gets popped, you have to inflate a new one on the land.
Oh, cool.
And things like that. I think you'd really like it, that one.
Yeah, I can imagine that'd be quite cheap-ish. Balloon Kid?
I think it was quite a common one, and I think it was. But that one, I've still never completed it because there's no passwords. So many limited amount of lives, but it's got a fantastic soundtrack, really good, and also because of big sprites on the screen, even back then, it was obviously very nice and clear to see it. There's that one. Mario Land. I know. Some people really hate Mario Land, but that was my first.
Love it.
Do you? Oh, good, because some people
Love
are
it.
proper against it. They're like, oh no,
No.
no, it's not Mario for me.
I got amazing memories. I took a Game Boy to my nan's when I was a kid, and I was always talking about on stream how important it was when I went to my nan's because I played a lot of stuff there and had a lot of independence. But I took, for me, Mario Land was one of the games that I
Yes,
beat and then started again and played again. I loved it so much, finding every secret. And I played
yeah.
again recently, and I forgot loads of the secrets. But the odd
Oh,
thing
I
comes
did.
back. The odd thing comes back, and you
Mm,
forget because you played a lot of modern Mario games or even just like the NES ones, and you forget how loose the platforming is in that game, where
yeah,
you just nudge a little bit to the side and you just walk really fast and walk off
yeah,
the side. Oh my
yeah.
god, I forgot how loose it is. But it's the music of it's it's so different than all the other Mario games. You can say that about
Well,
Mario 2 because it was a different, but that was a different
yeah.
game. This was an official,
No,
like
this is
it's the
yeah.
Mario game, and it's very different.
Well, the thing is as well, which I don't know why they've not revisited the newer one.
Mm.
You get to be in a plane and a
Oh,
submarine.
so cool.
Why doesn't it exist in
Yeah.
newer Mario games? It's great
Why didn't you make
sections.
a remake of it?
Oh
Like,
well, there's a weird. Well, it's homebrew, not official, but
mm,
there is a homebrew of Super Mario Land on the Super Nintendo.
mm,
It's a game remade, but using an engine from something else.
yeah.
It's a bit odd, but nothing official, obviously.
I feel
But
like
that,
Nintendo could get on there and just do
yeah,
something fun with it. You know, they probably won't because obviously they concentrate on the Zelda games and all that stuff nowadays. But like the best Mario Land, because I've never played the other Mario Land games. I've got like I think I've got two, just the Golden Coins, but I've never played it. I'm gonna get around to playing that at some point.
Golden Coins is good, but it's a very different Mario
Yeah,
game. They totally changed it up.
there's a lot more to it as well, isn't it? And like if
Yeah,
you think about it, for the Game Boy, for that screen, and they've been
yeah.
doing that much, it's just an
There's a lot
incredible.
going on with it, and I absolutely loved it. And then I think at I guess the other one would be for me, third one would be like a puzzle one, and it'd be Doctor Mario.
Oh yeah, Dr. Mario was good. I love Dr.
Because
Mario. I mean, Tetris for me more so.
yeah,
Because I remember playing that in the schoolyard with mates, and they had the link
oh,
up
the link
table.
up, yeah,
And I thought that was the coolest thing ever when you could
yeah,
send over what do you call it? Did you call it a Tetris when it's like the bar when the whole thing's done
yeah. It's
on
a
the screen?
Tetris when you do five. That's
I think that's what it is. Yeah. When you send that over to somebody else, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Like when you first do that, you manage to do that. It's just you felt so powerful. It's almost like one of those arcade moments where everyone's around you and everyone's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I got excited when I linked up with my game with my friend, where I had a little picture of Mario and he had a little Luigi.
Oh
But you
God! You
don't
did
see that on single player, and I'm like, oh
Yeah,
my
you
god, that's so
don't. Yeah,
good.
I completely forgot about that. I
Yeah, that
completely
really
forgot
that
about
is that so little, but it was like,
that.
oh, wicked! You got a little Luigi and a little Mario, and it was a little bit extra to it.
Another game I would
Yeah, it
name,
was a
I
good
don't
one.
know, it wasn't as common, I guess, but it was Nemesis, which was like a shooter. I think it's
Oh,
another
is
name
that
for,
like?
can't remember the other name. Is it Gradius, maybe?
Oh, about to say, is it a Gradius? I always get their
Yeah,
names mixed up. Yes.
it's the Game
I
Boy
never
version of
played
that.
that one
Oh,
actually.
it's so good. And it was one of those ones where if you play now, you probably put it down after a minute because it's so hard. But because that's
No.
one of the few games you
Well,
had access to, you'd play
yeah.
loads of it. So I was obsessed with that as well. So it was kind of, for me, it was like Tetris, Mario Land, and Nemesis. I did
Oh, so
remember being in the schoolyard and seeing someone play Castlevania, and I thought that looked amazing, and
oh
I really
yeah,
wanted to play that as well. But you know, you're watching other people, and you're so jealous, like, oh, I wish I could take that home,
yeah.
and play it myself, and you can just watch someone play for 5 minutes.
My
God, the
mate
game
had
was so
that when
good.
he had the first Turtle game on Game Boy. Is it Fall of the
Fall
Foot
of
Clan?
Flocon, yeah. I
Yeah.
want to play that at some point. I'm going to play it. I'm going to need to get a copy of it. I know I've got it. Weirdly enough, I got the Tales collection out before because I was showing it off on
Yes. Oh, it's
TikTok.
on that. Yeah, but
It's
you want
on
to?
that. I might just,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
I
super
want the original
dangerous.
card, but also I realized, I've got that collection. I should just play that because it's good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Why buy these
Well,
things if you've got to use them?
the only thing I will say is a very short game. So if you do play it on stream, have another game ready
Is it
because
really short? Oh, is it that
it's
short?
really
Oh,
short.
that's good
It's
though.
really easy.
That's good for my GG 100, trying to beat
It
100
would
games.
it would be
Yeah.
actually. It honestly
Hmm.
is. Somehow Super made it last a lot longer than it should have been. But
He
we're
did
not
that
going
with
to talk
Mario
about
Land,
that.
though, didn't he? And we
Yeah,
both beat it in
basically.
about an hour. I think it was like, I don't even know if you beat Batman. I had to beat Batman on the Game Boy as well. But
Oh,
yeah,
I
I
recently
love
got that actually. I've not
get
played
that.
it yet, but I did get hold of it.
But I'm
After you
still,
got
I
it.
think after all these years, I'm still obsessed with the Game Boy. I think it's still an incredible machine. And
Oh,
the way they
yeah.
were able to make it last and kind of beat out the Game Gear, even though the Game Gear came out with like amazing graphics and everything.
But do you remember watching? Like, I know I watched on stream, but do you remember when you watched Bad Influence and they had the Game Boy versus the Game Gear?
What did they do?
And they were basically it all come down to they preferred the Game Boy because of the battery life.
Oh yeah, I'm going to say
Was
the
a big
battery life's going to be a
factor.
big thing. Yeah,
But for me
yeah,
though, like
massive.
I love my Game Boy so much because I had to go into hospital for an operation, and it was like a present or something. Or I don't know if it was a birthday or it was just a present or something. I got a Game Boy, and that's all
Oh
I could play. I couldn't
yeah.
do anything else. I couldn't even get out of bed like without help. So all I had was my Game Boy,
Oh,
and
that's
I was
amazing.
obsessed with it.
And you just escaped into it like a
I
good
did.
boy.
I totally
Yeah.
did. The little headphones I
Mm.
used, and I honestly, I just escaped with it. And then I used to like my Game Boy. I bought the Booster Boy, which has got the magnifying glass
Oh, all
speakers
that
on it,
stuff. My
big old
word.
unit. But I
Yeah,
used to take it everywhere with me when I used to go to my nan's.
yeah.
I used to sit there, and when it was school holidays, she'd be watching TV. I'll be sitting there playing some Game Boy games.
I kind of want to get all that stuff. Muffin, he comes to my stream. He
Yeah.
does TikToks and he's like, he's got the Game Boy printer and all that stuff. And he's doing fun little
Yeah.
videos of printing all the turtles off and all this. But he's also got all the accessories for his Game Boy. He's doing like snazzy videos. It's really cool. It makes me want to get all that stuff, even though I wouldn't use them for that because
Looks good on display. It will look good
yeah,
just
exactly.
behind you.
It looks
There you go.
good on display. We're good there. But you don't need to do that nowadays because they're making new Game Boys. Had that segue.
Good segue. I like the segue. I like
So
that.
you got an analog pocket, which I thought was going to be like the thing I'd want for like playing all the classic Game Boy games. It seems absolutely perfect, even though it's pricey. But now they're releasing what is called the ModRetro. Is it? It was always called the new Game Boy from ModRetro. ModRetro is the company, isn't it? So the new Game Boy.
That's
And
why I wanted to send that over to you about that because it's done by the same guy who worked on. Is it the Oculus Rift? It's. I think that was who it was. Yeah, the guy in it. He's quite. Even though he's got nothing to do with Game Boy, essentially the guy who's making them, but he's an engineer for working on the Oculus and stuff like that back in when it started. But then again, this is a premium Game Boy.
oh my god, it looks ace. The form factor looks like a Game Boy. But it's got a metal casing, but the buttons, it's just got the 2 buttons that you need. So with the analog pocket, you've got 4, haven't you? I guess. So it's supposed to like feel more like a Game Boy, and the screen is just aspect ratio perfect.
Yeah,
and I don't think it's as expensive. It's as I say there, about £160. How much is the analog pocket?
it is. Analog pocket. Well, I don't know where it changes, but it's about something like 200, 250 probably.
So a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
But this also, one of the things I really like about it, and it's really, is that it takes normal batteries.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Well, because the idea was,
both, I think.
I don't know if you watched the video on there. It's good. Basically, the main goal wasn't to make this all-in-one handheld that played everything. They literally just want a perfect Game Boy Color.
Yeah,
it ain't there for anything else. It's not to put your SNES games on, not to put anything else special on there, any other emulators, just to play Game Boy and Game Boy Color.
And it's just for the card. Do you know if it takes like SD cards with games on it, or is it just cards? It looks like it just plays cards.
Well, they're pushing mainly cartridges.
Yeah.
Because it's a smaller factor, so they're trying to keep it because it's got FPGA, which is trying to be as Game Boy Color as possible.
Yeah, I love it.
I don't know, but they did have
I did notice in the video Casey Neistat's in there playing with one in New York.
Yeah.
I had to pause. I go, "That Casey Neistat." Obviously, they've got him to kind of promote it a little bit, and there's obviously different colours. I love that green one in the middle of the screen.
Yeah,
it's lovely. But are they going to come out over here? I have no idea. It's going to be the same thing where you're paying a fortune for it.
Well, no, it'd be America only. Well, Guy Palmer Lucky, that's it. That's his name. It's a very American company, and you'll be paying a premium through resellers or buying it and spending $60 postage plus import tax. You know, all of that stuff.
Suddenly, this sounds like a better idea, doesn't it? Just playing the normal Game Boy at that point.
Well, I think,
or a Game Boy Color.
It's tough because like modding a Game Boy is a really good thing because you can do it yourself and do the parts and build it up. It can still get expensive though. If you want to get a good screen, you can get a USB-C battery recharging mod for it. So you plug a USB-C in the back to charge it. You can change colors of the screen. You can do all these extra things to it. But because the problem is with the Game Boy, I adore my Game Boy, but I mean, when was the last time you played a DMG Game Boy game? Like
it's
as
weird.
it is. It's
I
really
don't know.
tough.
I'd be more likely to take, rather than this, even though I've been telling how much I love this, I'd more likely take out a Game Boy Color because it's a lot thinner, or an Ambernick or something. And you'd rather, obviously, you take the Analog Pocket because you've got one. What are you going to, so the Analog Pocket, this hit me when I was thinking about the battery. What are you going to do when the battery starts dying? Can you get it replaced?
You can change it. It has a star shape. I don't know what it's called, like a star-shaped screwdriver port.
Yeah,
and I've taken off the back because I've replaced the buttons. And on the back of it, literally has a battery pack that you can literally it's like a 2-pin plug. Have you ever? Oh, it's a bit like the best example is the Wii U gamepad. I don't know if you've ever.
No.
Well, basically on the back of it, you take off the back panel, and there's a little wire that plugs into the board, and it's just a connector for the battery.
Oh,
and it's
simple.
exactly the same with that, essentially.
So is it a battery that they've created themselves, or is
it would have to be something you have to buy through them, but there might be down the line, maybe, well, there could be already. There could be like these Chinese knockoffs.
That's the thing, no, because
batteries.
with a company like that, like what happens down the line if they go bust or whatever? I'm not saying they're going to go bust, but like in 10 years, your battery starts dying and that and then you can't buy a battery online anymore because that company doesn't exist.
Well, there's a bit like the PSP though. Sony stopped making PSP batteries because the problem with their batteries are, I don't know what type, lithium batteries. I don't know, one of those. They inflate. They literally inflate. They balloon. They're scary looking because the back of it suddenly pops off. You know, what's going on?
A lot of batteries do that, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's really bad for that. But if you go onto eBay now and you write in PSP battery, there's about 20 versions to choose from.
Because someone just actually makes one. But I suppose with the PSP, though, it's kind of, it was a big deal with Analog Pocket. It's a bit of a niche, isn't it? So you're going to get less of that. Less people doing it. I'm not saying it puts me off getting one. I'd love to get one.
No, I totally get that. You want to just change your batteries when you need to.
Yeah, I like the option on this one, but they can put actual batteries in there.
Yeah, that is a nicer option, really.
But it does, it kind of like you trigger something there, though. Like with the amount of updates you can make to your own Game Boy, is like how far away is it from that anyway? If you got one, and maybe you've just got to make you something who can fit these things for you.
Well, in the day, I think you get one of these things because you want a one and done deal. You want a nice looking new device, all the quality of life stuff there and then, without any messing around with modding or doing that stuff. And it's just there, you've got it, and it's good. It's good to go.
It's not a bad price, to be honest, for what it is as well. It looks very sleek, but again, we're not going to get it for that price.
Yeah, I haven't seen any proper reviews yet. Anyone showing it off outside of their promo.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued to know what like actual and end consumer
when it comes out. I want to see. Retro Dodo will probably do a review.
I'm about to say, they're fantastic.
They're great. They're the guys to go to nowadays. Yes. Let's move on to the next bit of news then, which is the romhacking.net website is shutting down operations. Apparently, it's still going to put news on, but they're not going to kind of house any files and things like that anymore. So what it is.
The frustrating part of this one is that the romhacking.net is not. They're not putting ROMs of games on there.
No,
they're putting these things called I think they're called IPA files.
I can't even remember. Yeah, I know you mean. I know you mean. Yeah. I've done it in the past.
Basically, all they are is a modified file that you use another application to patch your own ROM, wherever you get it from. Make your own ROM,
your own game,
your own games online, and basically you apply it onto a game. So it's not infringe. There's a case that's saying it's infringing because you're modifying original code. Mm-hmm. But then why aren't they going after RetroArch, which are clearly messing around with code? Anyway,
and these like hacks are for like translations and patches so you can play them outside of like territories on a different regions, SNES or something like that, different platform. So
Yeah,
that's what I've kind of looked at it for.
well, basically, it's good for translation patches. And one thing that's really good is Game Boy improvement patches and SNES games, where if a game runs a bit slow, there's about like in Super Castlevania, you've got the turning tunnel section,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's a little bit slow, isn't it? At
yeah.
times, they brought out a ROM to basically make that smoother. I don't know how they did it, but they've made it
Oh,
smoother.
that's cool.
Yeah, and they've done the same with quality of life improvements on Castlevania on Game Boy because the game's good, but it's a very slow game, and they've even made a really strange, a good change where when you jump in the Game Boy game, you kind of you have to if you jump left, you got no way of turning back. Once you're all in on that jump, you can't do anything about it. They brought out a patch so you could kind of change in midair a little bit.
Oh, cool.
Things, little changes, or
Yeah.
colorizing a game, things
Oh
like that. And that's what the website was dedicated for. It wasn't there to endorse piracy or
no,
anything like that. And that's why I
no.
find it really frustrating. And that's been going around. That website has been there for years.
I mean, I read the
absolutely
message, and
years.
it felt like he was just the main owner was overworked, and then when he tried to
Yeah,
kind of triage some of the work onto some
yeah,
people, there's some kind of murky business going on with the
yeah.
people
That
he was
didn't.
trying to
Yeah,
he was saying to trying to help him, but I don't know.
yeah,
But it does seem a shame, isn't it? It does seem a shame because you get it with a lot of the other websites are shutting down because legal issues because they
yeah.
actually are housing ROMs or telling you what ways of doing it and all that stuff. But this one
But
doesn't seem to be
yeah.
like that. Well, it's never been like when I've visited it. It's always been for just like one of those patches or something you've been talking about
Yeah,
before.
because it's there for the fans to enjoy the games
Yeah,
with some new changes to it, or make a new
get more
game
life
from
out
an
of them.
existing
Yeah,
game. And no one's making money. You don't pay for these patches of games. It
no.
literally, someone made it, uploaded it to the website, and then that's it, really. And then it's just free to people to use.
So I wonder if is it all done now? Because you go on the website, it's like the website's still there, but I guess all the
Yeah.
files just aren't there now. Like if you
Yeah,
went
so
to
if you try and get to certain files, you'll have the page that has all the information about it, but there won't be a link available to it.
at least there's
Some
that
are
though.
still there, which I
Yeah.
don't quite understand.
Yeah, I think they
So,
were saying they were transitioning it all to internet,
into archive.
archive.org,
Yeah,
yeah. But maybe that's just at least the instructions are still there because that was probably the bit you needed the most,
yeah,
really, and you'll
yeah,
be able to find the files. But I thought that was a massive shame. But we'll keep an eye on that one because it's still there. So someone might come in and step in and help out. You never know.
yeah.
Anyway, the next bit of news is that Doom 1 and 2 are enhanced on consoles. Now, tell me this, right? Have you looked at this news? Is it Doom 1 and 2 combined into one game, or is it just featuring on a collection? Is that what it is?
It's a
It's,
collection.
it's collection because the way it was like phrased,
Yeah.
even in the video, was like together, and I was like, wait a minute, is it like you complete Doom 1 and does it go into Doom 2? I was thinking like because there's been so many Doom re-releases, re-releases of like this is a new fresh take on Doom. We're just going to add Doom 1 and 2 together.
Yeah, but they've done some like change. What the one thing I have done to it is that the guy John Marrero, I'm bad at saying his
Romero,
name.
yeah.
Where he made some new levels. He made available online for people to
Yeah, he's doing it
download.
through Twitch, doesn't he? A
And,
lot of that stuff through Twitch.
yeah,
That's
and
crazy.
he was actually modifying it on Twitch. Yeah, so and then he released it on PC, and I think this release has that part of it.
Okay. I think you can access those separate like episodes. Let's call them like
Yes.
apart from the first and second game. I'm kind of intrigued by this, but like I'm also because I'm not. I know people will judge me on this. I'm not really a Doom fan. I never really played them. And I've never really been into the game, so I'm looking at this going, is this good? It sounds amazing, it looks amazing, but like I don't know how different it is. Like what quality of life adjustments apart from the extra episodes and the 1 and 2 being together? I'm sure that's been a thing before where they put two games on
Well,
the same
that's what
release.
confused me because I was like, they've when they brought out Doom Eternal, or no, Doom Eternal. I think Doom Eternal or Doom 2016 was it? I can't remember the date of it now. They brought them out on the Switch and that. They brought out when you downloaded that, they gave you a copy of the old Dooms with it as like a little extra. And I thought they were in hearts. I'm assuming they were just literally here's the ROM.
Oh, I think I got them. I don't know. I think I got them because it was super cheap.
Yes.
If I got them, does that mean you've got the enhanced versions out? or have you got to buy these separately?
Unless it patches it to do it. If there's
Yeah,
no
I'm gonna have a
version
look.
available, possibly, but it is a bit confusing because I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't really understand why they've done it now. And the
I'm,
thing is, I love the game. I do like
yeah,
them. I've never ever finished it, but I got quite far. But I do look at it, and I know I'm not. Again, people might hate me as well. I don't see what's so special about these versions.
yeah. But I think
I
that's
don't
probably
see.
because
But
we're not in the know, and people who love
no,
the game will know exactly. We're not like
yeah,
the audience for this, are we? Um,
I think that's it.
But weirdly enough, though, I did get a question on TikTok because I put an Ask Me Anything video out and I replied to Scott's Queen. If you're watching, it was your question.
I
When are you
would
going to
be.
play Doom? And I said, you know what? I'm going to play it. I'm going
Mm.
to play it soon. I played a bit of it ages ago and I was rubbish, to be honest, because I've said this last time, I'm bad at first person shooters, unless it's something like Destiny where you're working together. But yeah, I don't know. It's really, really bad at those kind of games. But because it's one of those games that just everyone, it's, you know, if you're going to write down 10 of the most notable video
Yeah.
games in all time, Doom's got to be there. And I
Mm.
feel like I'm gonna have to beat it. So I said I'm gonna do it soon. Maybe one of those like longer streams. I'm gonna.
Well, the thing is with it, it's a lot easier in other first person because, for example, like if you see a creature high up on a platform,
Oh
you
yeah,
don't aim your gun up.
auto aims,
You
doesn't
just,
it? Yeah,
yeah,
you,
you
you
just
can't
aim
jump or
towards.
anything.
Oh,
I
can you
don't think
jump?
you can jump. I remember playing
I
it
can't
thinking,
remember.
yeah, this is how terrible we are. We're retro gamers here.
Oh
Plunging
God,
with
I can't
give
remember.
a retro cards
Yeah.
in again. Second week
But
in
the
a
thing
row.
is, for me, with Doom game, I know it from PlayStation. I had it on the original
Oh
PlayStation
right, okay.
rather than SNES or PC.
Yeah,
But the PlayStation version is a proper horror game. The music, everyone knows that Doom song,
yeah.
but it's not like that on PlayStation. It's proper horror style
Mm,
atmosphere type of music,
yeah.
and it's kind of quite creepy. And when I played when I was younger, I had to stop playing it because it freaked me out.
I did remember playing a bit. I went around to a mate to play a bit of the SNES one, and I thought that was like pretty good for the SNES back then.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah,
looked
I think it was
really
quite.
good.
A lot of people say bad things about the SNES version. I
No,
think it
not
looks
at all. It was
great.
good. Yeah,
You know,
I remember being really impressed. It was better than like the interior parts of like the Jurassic Park game on the SNES, which I love that
oh
game.
yeah,
But that was
yeah,
bad. Or I was playing Toy Story recently, but it's a proper game, But I'm
yes,
gonna play it. I'm gonna play it soon. But the other bit of news about
yeah,
this release is that they are releasing. We were talking about limited run earlier.
yes.
A special edition. Now you've bought some limited run stuff. Would you be tempted by this just because it gives away a free cart, a cart? They're giving away a SNES cart with it. It's like giving away. It's part of the release. You got to
Well,
pay
yeah.
all.
It's the problem is I've got a couple of the big collectors ones. Like I'm looking at one now. I've got that Streets of Rage 4 one. The box is
Oh, I love
huge.
that. Yeah.
And it come with the actual model of Axel and Blaze with it because that's my favourite game. So I had to get that version.
Awesome.
But the thing is, though, like, yeah, because that the cartridge thing, because it won't actually be like usable. It'd be like your
No, I think it is.
Nintendo.
Oh, I
Is
think
it?
it's usable. Yeah, it says that in the comments where someone was saying about because I was
Oh, I
saying the
didn't
same
know
thing.
that.
Someone said, well, I'll try and get down to it. Please tell me the mouse and keyboard are implemented. But implementing Rumble on the SNES has been one of my visions, as someone said. He did reply to someone to say that they've been working on the code for it. So it's an actual card that runs the first
Oh,
Doom.
I thought it was one of those where it's a novelty cartridge and it doesn't have nothing on it. Oh.
Yeah. So I
Well, the
don't
thing is,
know how they're doing it.
the thing is, though, I already have it on play. I already have it on the SNES,
Yeah.
and it's quite a cheap game as well to get. And I'm a bit of a snob. I prefer how the UK cartridges look to the American ones.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean. Someone
Like the
actually did
side bit
reply.
of them.
Someone said a PAL version or NTSC version because, like, obviously it's NTSC one there. And someone
Yeah,
said limited run only do NTSC versions.
yeah.
What do you mean? So, but
Unless
yeah.
unless a company is strictly limited, which is a different company,
Mm-hmm.
they're based in Germany, and they sometimes do that where they do European versions and NTSC versions, or PAL versions. Sorry,
What's
so
good?
you
Yeah.
sometimes get a bit of both. Um,
But if you scroll down from the first picture they showed, they've got a collector's edition, which is just pretty much the same one but covered in blood, and you get something
oh
else.
yeah,
Individual numbered certificate. You get a certificate as well, Plunger. There you go.
Ooh.
Not good. And then
That look good when I take it out of the box and go, oh, I'm number 2,422. Yes.
There's only 666 copies been made. That's legit. That's what they've said.
Oh, that's actually that's quite
That's
cute.
cool,
I like that.
Yeah. The blood spattered version. I don't think this blood spattered version looks as good as the other one though.
It looks a bit. That don't look real either. It's like, oh, let's put a blood effect on the cartridge.
Yeah, and the actual logo of just being the Grey Doom. It's probably not finished yet, is it?
No, if it was see-through blood, because some people make custom cartridges and they look fantastic.
That'd be cool. See-through cart with blood. Oh, that'd be quite cool idea.
They did that with someone did that with a release of Ghostbusters. They put like fake green slime inside of it.
Yeah, I like that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I saw that. I wish they got that. But
I'll be disappointed if Scott's Queen doesn't get this release.
Oh yeah,
I'll be disappointed if she doesn't get it.
If you're a massive Doom fan, you already know about this, and you're already writing the comments furiously about how we're wrong on loads of these points. But maybe like this time, like in a few weeks, I'll be into Doom if I've played the game, get through it. But lastly, though, I wanted to talk about it's not an old game; it's a new retro-inspired game, and it's the Halloween and Ash vs. Evil Dead. First of all, I want to say on your stream, when you were trying to get my attention, so Steve, there's a game you want to show you, and I was like, instantly knew what you were going to say. It was like, is it the Halloween game? And, yeah.
I was like, oh, should I show it? Wait. Should I? No, okay. I wasn't sure.
I'm going to show it anyway, and it was just like, because it needs to be seen. It's an odd one, isn't it? Because I didn't realize how much interest like people would have for this, because I thought like, it's horror icons, but it is like, I'm going to get them. 100% going to get these games.
I want to get them.
And it is two separate games. And if you buy two of them, they cross over into different worlds. And we can actually step through the trailer a little bit to talk about that, because I've got some interesting things to say. But if you take those characters out of the game and put another character in it kind of like, first of all, I want to see more news about this, a deeper look. But it does look a little bit generic as a generic platformer. I will say that.
Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah,
like I'm definitely being like tied in because I love, I'm a massive Halloween fan. I didn't watch all of Ash vs. Evil Dead. I watched the first series.
I didn't either. I liked it, but I just never finished it.
Never got around to it. So I know more about Halloween than the other.
Yeah.
That said, I think they're going to lean on more of the Evil Dead stuff for the main fans. It's weird when you watch the trailer right at the start. There's like 1 million logos, 1 million people part of it, because it's like the TV stuff is part of it as well.
Yes, yeah.
It just cycles through all those super quick.
Well, also there's a bit where when it goes up to the arcade cabinets, I think there's going to be loads, because they've got other cabinets with cloths over the top of them.
Yes, yeah.
Which means they're going to release another one. So we might get Jason Voorhees, we might get Freddy Krueger. If they can manage, I don't know how they're going to do it and get all the licensing, but Fortnite does it, so why not? I guess
if that was so, I wonder why they wouldn't have launched with Jason Voorhees straight away.
I was thinking the same, actually.
I think it's because it's like the kind of similar, because they're both hack and slash, and at least Ash has got a bit of an attitude to him where Michael Myers doesn't really say anything.
Well, you're playing as a good guy and then you're playing as a bad guy.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Didn't think about that. That's a good point. But that means if you do have all the other characters, then it's going to be who else you're going to have as good guys who could have their own game. Because you've got you got Pinhead, you've got Freddy Krueger, you've got Chucky, you've got Jason Voorhees, you've got Leprechaun. All I'm doing is naming like horror icons, but there's no one you can have as like good guys, I suppose. There probably is somebody, but I don't know anyone as like iconic as Ash. I'm trying to think now on the spot.
Oh, no.
Right in the comments.
It's probably a million.
I keep looking around my desk to see if there's anything there, and all I keep looking at is bloody Snarf.
Is it someone from The Office? No, that's not a horror.
No, it's not that.
I'm looking at
horror
DVDs.
Icons. But you could have the characters out of those films, but no one's probably as like. Oh, you can have Reggie from Phantasm. Do you ever seen Phantasm?
Do you know what? I know of them. I've never seen them.
You need to see them. You've watched a load of rubbish like trilogies and series.
Yeah.
You need to get into Phantasm because it has a lot of ups and downs, but like the ups are really good. And then you'll get to see the main guy, and that is like totally an unlikely hero. He's brilliant. But you should get onto that. But the tall man out of Phantasm will be good, but you wouldn't do it for this because it'll be Freddy Krueger. And Candyman,
yeah.
Candyman, all that stuff. But yeah, for this one, it's interesting. I'll be showing the trailer off as well when we're talking about this. So Michael Myers is back, and it's weird because it's just him killing loads of people. But yeah, I
Yeah.
get that. But it's like, who is he fighting? Because at the start you see him at the Phelps, where he gets out of I just want some girders. Don't know where it is. Maybe that is the mechanics place. But he is in the garage.
I think that I thought it might have been the asylum because it got straight jackets on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it will be. I just
breaking
him
out
by
of
the
the
girders
asylum.
at the top. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
don't
you're
get
right.
that. I don't get why that's there.
But then you see him in the Phelps garage, the 24 hours
Yeah.
thing. That is from the first film when he kills the mechanic. So I guess that's
Oh yeah, of course it is.
following the film there. And then you see him outside of the Myers house with the tombstone. That's the one he places on top of a bed, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's there. And then plus he goes to the Ash vs. Evil Dead. And as you said, yeah, there's another clothed for the arcade on the other side. And he starts off in his caravan. That's from the first series, and he's in that caravan. Don't know if he's in that later on, which is pretty cool. And then you see him going against all of the what are the Deadites, isn't it? Deadites
And
and same kind of principle. Like it's very similar gameplay, isn't it? Obviously, he'll have his own mechanics with his different weapons.
Yeah,
You know,
he's
but
got a nail gun as well and things like that.
Yeah, stuff like that. But the thing I love about that is like you see the boss fight looks incredible, big giant boss fight. That's the bit where made me go, ooh, because I suppose you can't have that in Michael Myers because in Halloween, because there isn't anything like that. Because Michael Myers is the thing to kill.
Yeah,
you know?
I guess you go against Jamie Lee Curtis character.
Yeah, is that going to be unless they do something?
What's she going to?
So the interesting part is like if they cross over and Michael Myers can fight those big bosses, that's cool. Like, there's something there. But in its own game,
it's a bit bizarre because if it's using the same engine and all that, like the levels are different, but it's kind of cheeky because they're making two games out of one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's like they've got that game and just gone down the middle, and then just
went and buy them both. It depends how much they are. You know,
that's a good point. That's a good point.
£10 each. That's a good price, isn't it? But they probably won't be.
Yeah, you pay about £20 for something like that. Anyway,
£20 or something like that with both of them. Both of them. They'll bring out a deal which you can get both games surely. And because it's coming out at the end of October. But then it says these crossover worlds, and then you see Ash right next to the Myers house. And then you see Michael Myers by the cabin in the woods from the Evil Dead film.
Yeah.
So they are harkening back to the original Evil Dead movies as well. Yeah. And I think that's kind of cool, but I don't know how it's going to work with that whole crossover thing. And I hope it's not just like a bonus thing where they just go, oh, no, you can play as Michael Myers in the same game.
Well, that's it. Is it you just playing as a different character in that other world?
Yeah.
And that's it.
Because I kind of want a bit more than that, but I can't imagine they're going to do much more because, I don't know, would he have his own episode? That'd be quite cool if it had his own little, even if it was like a mini storyline, because you bought both of them, you both get a little mini storyline on each side and it connects story-wise. But if, as you said, if they're going to release more of these and then they cross over, I can't see that being a thing. I think it's just going to be you get to play that character in that world.
It'd just be like a new skin, isn't it, really?
It's a new skin, like a DLC. Yeah. That's what it's going to be.
That's it. Sorry, yeah.
So I was like, I'm hyped for it, but I'm also like, I instantly was like, it's only going to draw people in. I don't want to be negative to it at all, but it's only drawing people in because of the characters.
Yeah, because the problem is, you see, there's the problem is with retro-inspired games. I'm glad that there are a thing, but there are quite a lot of them, though, isn't there? Like, there's like every other day, there's like a Castlevania kind of Metrovania type of game and things like that, and some stand out better than others.
Yeah,
that you go, oh, that looks fantastic, and others just seem a bit run of the mill. But it depends how it plays out.
Part of me wishes they just looked at that Halloween game on itch.io, the first person one where you're in the house and Michael Myers is there, and just made a fully fledged game out of that.
So good.
I don't know how they would make that bigger because that was absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
I was so scared playing that game. It was so well realized, and it was a way of Michael Myers scaring you. It just feels weird to be Michael Myers because, in a way, like we've already been like Jason Voorhees in a way because we played like Splatterhouse. You're basically that character in a way.
It is.
It's kind of inspired a little bit like that, I suppose. But I feel like for a proper Halloween game, I don't know how to do Evil Dead because he's done some Evil Dead games as well. But with a Halloween game, I want to be scared like the movie. I want to make Michael Myers scary again. you know.
Yeah.
But this isn't offering that. This is a hack and slash platformer.
It's more of an arcadey hack and slash thing, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. And I'm going to get it. Definitely going to get it because it looks fun, and I'll definitely play it on stream. But I don't know. I want to know more about it. And this is kind of like an announcement. It is an announcement straight. It even says, and it's going in October, so like not that far off. That's a few months off, you know. But
I'm assuming they want to get it out in time for Halloween. But
yeah, it makes sense, which is good because normally when the games come out, they're always late, or they bring up movies and like after October, and you're like, oh, because Nosferatu, that new like vampire movie's coming out in like December, and I'm like, oh, why is it coming out October? Why is it not ready for Halloween? It seems like obvious, but
why don't you wait till next year then if you can't get it ready for this year?
There's probably a reason. But anyway, let me know your comments as well, guys. If you're watching this, what do you think of that Ash and Michael Myers game? Because I'm going to get it, but yeah, I want a bit more. I want to know more. Okay, let's move on to the post box section of the stream, then, where you guys have sent in your questions, and we're going to go through them and answer them. So the first question for us, right, is, and this was from Last Chance, Ches, ideal burger toppings.
But very on topic.
Very on topic. Quickly answer this. Go on. Off the top of your head, what is it?
Onion rings, spicy cheese.
Oh, God. That's onion rings. Oh. Do you know what? I'm really basic with burgers at the moment because I've been in burgers at home, but I just don't have a bit of ketchup. But I would definitely have some onion rings. And onion rings is,
just a weird extra filler. That's quite
I don't
nice.
Really like putting loads on.
No, not loads. Just
it's like when people have bacon and egg and all the stuff, and I'm like, you can't really taste the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it goes out the other side.
Exactly. I do like a gherkin though. When you get like a McDonald's burger, I like that satisfying crunch.
Do ya? Because everyone I've ever seen get it, I go.
No, always on. I love that crunch. That's what makes the McDonald's burger a McDonald's burger. So that's for me. So yeah, next question. This is from a Joey Agent. What games did you enjoy the most or least enjoy playing on stream, and why?
I know your least instantly.
It's Lion King straight away. Lion King's one of them. There's loads though. But I think Lion King's the most recent one, and I've talked to death about that one and why. So what about you? What's the least one you enjoyed?
I think sadly it's one that I didn't actually finish. I did enjoy it, but it was hard work. It was Vagrant Stories.
Yes, I remember playing that.
I liked it, and just when I thought I mastered the mechanic and I got what I was doing, because every battle, even the basic soldier or whatever you went against, was like a 10-minute battle. And it was like you were running all the time on the spot. And I'm like, I'm exhausted. And I got into a forest area that I got lost for hours in. Yeah. And I got to a point where every day, I think it was a Thursday I was playing it, I was dreading playing it. And I was like, that's not good.
Yeah, that's not good.
I was actually dreading it.
Yeah.
And then I felt bad and I turned around and said, I'm sorry, I've kept my save. I've still got it, but I wasn't enjoying it anymore. I'm just not that mindset for it.
And that's important, isn't it? Because I can play games which I can say it's a bad game and I hate it, but I want to beat it. You know, I want to have it beaten done. But yeah, there are, I can't think of anything that comes to mind, but there's definitely a few games, Doom was probably one of them, where I was playing and going, I can't do this.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not enjoying it.
It's not clicking in any way.
Or maybe it's not the right time for you to play that game. If you played that like a year later or something, and you've played something else that's kind of similar to it, and it's giving you that road to play it, then you maybe not ready to play it, or you're just in a different space at that point. So yeah, I may be playing that and maybe going through that motion. Right, next question we've got from Kiri: cold milk or warm milk on your cereal? We've got a cereal question, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's all right.
Cereal question.
I've had like warm milk with Weetabix once. I put in the microwave and that.
Well in.
Was it? Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. But only with that. I've never had warm milk anything else.
I've had it. Wow. I had warm milk. I always have warm milk on Weetabix. I've never had in my life cold milk on Weetabix. I would never do that. I just feel like that's wrong.
I have done, but it makes it quite boring. It doesn't feel right with cold milk.
No, it's scratchy. So it's scratching in your mouth.
Yeah. It's like
it's like eating hay or something. Like no way.
That's it.
But I don't know, warm milk on Weetabix is always like a winter thing for me or an autumn thing.
Yeah,
it just feels really nice in the morning. It's like, we've got to go out. It's a bit rainy. Have some Weetabix. It's like Ready Brek or something, isn't it? You know?
Yes.
But I also do it with shredded wheat. But since then, I've had cold milk with shredded wheat. But I prefer it with warm milk. But I do have cold milk with it as well.
So if you're getting lazy, you can't be bothered. Like, that'll do. You really poured it now. Yeah.
Well, I think it's because I started having the mini shredded wheat, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna have. I didn't feel it was like I needed to put warm milk with that, and then my
Yeah,
mind was
it
like,
get
oh,
too
wait a minute.
soaked up, and it won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, be
And I
too
was like,
much.
I'm not putting warm milk with those. Maybe try it with, and it was fine. But then, Weetabix, always warm milk. Thanks for the question. Sky Fox asks, you guys touched on playing games as kids in the first episode. Were you the kind of kids that had the latest games and lots of friends to play them with? Or were you like me, at least 6 months behind all your friends with half the number of games and spending most of your time alone in your room? Whatever the answer is, how has it shaped you both as a collector and a streamer? I'll let you answer first because you're an only child. You probably had everything.
I'm waiting for that. Yeah, big show. Yeah, only child. Yeah. I had. Well, it was a bit where I had friends at school had a Super Nintendo or Mega Drive. I had a Super Nintendo and a Mega Drive, but then I was still quite picky what I played, and I didn't always play the latest and greatest games. I just saw a game in the shop. I like to look at that. I didn't go by, oh, this game's really amazing. I didn't really read reviews in magazines. I'll just look. I was a bit of a cover person. I look at it and go, oh, that looks quite cool.
Yeah.
One of those, But I think I didn't. Game Boy always had the latest game because I was obsessed with that. But then at school, though, I did log it as game swaps. So I'd have one game and my mate had another, and then I would borrow his for a week, or if we was on some holiday, or we was on a 6 week, 6 week holiday and stuff. I borrowed his games, and he borrowed mine. We did about 4 or 5 our own separate games, and then I can't remember if we talked about it or anything, but I think we just basically swap games and go, oh, do you want to swap back, or do you want to keep it for a bit longer? I did a lot of that. But so, yeah, I kind of did, but then I did do a lot of swaps at school.
So, yeah, same really for me because I had a kind of a big family. I would never get the latest games really. I would just get what was given to me. But same with the swaps, because I always think like even though I had like a big gaming history before consoles with the Spectrum and Atari and all that stuff, but with the main consoles, I always see those the NES and the SNES and all that stuff as the time when I properly started the game, because that was when the consoles I actually asked for like for Christmas and got, rather than being like thrusted upon. Yeah. And then they were also the games like you being able to swap with mates. So I was kind of like in charge of like my fate or my of what I would do with it. So that was the way I would get at new games. And because I didn't have the newest games, or I just have the game that was packaged with a system, everyone already had that game. So it was more of a kind of a plea to people. Can I please borrow it? Like,
just nothing to swap with.
What can I do? Game. So there was another kind of a swap I had to do, or something. They have something else, like a magazine or whatever, or I give them a little toy car or something for the night to play with.
I did that. I think I swapped some like little like I don't know, like something like Transformers or something along their lines for a game. Yeah,
the same thing. Also, whatever you could do.
Yeah. But also, I did rent a lot of games as well.
Did you?
I didn't do Blockbuster. I had a little thing called Village Videos, what it was called, and I used to rent a lot of SNES games from there for like £1 for 2 nights.
Oh, that's boss. We never did that. I think I wouldn't have been allowed to, but I did definitely go round to a video shop and swap a game, like a really good game I had, and then for something rubbish like Super Putty, I think it was. And then I took it home and like, oh, what have I done? No. But then played the hell out of it, and it was something good as well. But that's because you needed something new. But how has it shaped you as a collector? For me, it's like it's probably the same for both of us. We just want everything now, still.
Well, the thing is, I started out getting stuff that I had as a kid to try and get and complete, but then there was other side like Mega Man games. They were never on my radar.
Yeah.
But since discovering them online and properly now, I kind of got into them. I think, why did I play this as a kid? Or there's loads of games like that I didn't play properly as a kid, but now I like them now. But it's more of a case of just didn't I wasn't interested back then. Just for some reason I wasn't. Yeah. But then like Crash Bandicoot, I didn't play that at all, even though I had a demo of it. I didn't really play it. But then later on, when I saw other people playing, I thought I'll give it a go. So like there's a big hit of a nostalgia for some bits, but it's discovering the newest. The newest
it's like I always say, it's the 3 things. You want all the stuff you had, you want all the stuff you wanted, and then you want everything. And I think everyone goes like that. Everyone goes like that, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for that question. That was a brilliant question, Skyfox. So Gaz Halley asks next, here's one to rack your memory. What was your first experience, if you can remember, of going into an arcade?
I do have actually a bit of memory from it. For me, unless you know it first, you can go first.
Yeah,
If you
straight
want.
away. I remember going to Butland, Buffelli, and watching people play through the likes of Turtles Arcade.
Oh,
And
nice.
I'm just standing there, like I didn't have any money, but it was just like secondhand enjoyment of like being lower, and then they were the big boys, and I like how good they were, and I was like, whoa, and that was it. Like I was dying to play in those games, so that was my first memory of that.
Oh. I guess mine was when I went to where I used to live. There was a Quasar there. Do you know
Oh,
Quasar?
nice.
Like laser
Yeah,
tag.
yeah, yeah. We
Yeah.
had one of them. Yeah.
They had like 3 arcade machines in. They had the Simpsons arcade cabinet.
Nice. Nice.
And I can't remember the other, but I remember that one. I remember playing a bit of it. I put money in, and they would call us in because it was a friend's birthday. But I didn't want to go in. I wanted to
No,
stay
of
on the
course not. You
arcade
put money
machine.
into it. You got to stay
Different.
until you die. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I had to go. So that was kind of, I guess, that's my earliest, and that was quite local to me because any other time I went to an arcade was Southend on Sea,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that was like a theme park. It was almost like a theme park of arcade cabinets along the
Yeah.
seafront. So that was a whole nother deal. But yeah, my first one was definitely the Simpsons arcade machine at a Quasar.
Because I don't remember all the classics. I was saying that last time. I didn't know about the likes of like Centipede and Dig Dug,
No, I
actual
didn't.
arcades, and still
No,
start seeing them on TV and things like that. Or I would have
yeah.
seen them later on, but when I think of my earliest memories of arcades, they were kind of decent ones. Like very like late 80s, early 90s, pretty much.
Exactly the same. Exactly the
Yeah,
same.
weird.
Because the other thing, the biggest one I remember that I was actually scared of. Do you know Mad Dog McCree with the light gun,
Yeah,
where it was like live action, like FMV? I wanted to play that when I was younger, but they used to have I think it was in Southend or somewhere, a ginormous screen, really big screen, and it took up quite a lot of room. The arcade thing. I
very
wanted to
impressive,
play
isn't
it, but I didn't feel like I was allowed to play it because it felt too like big and adult for
Yeah,
me,
you
and I
always
never
go.
got to play it. But
Yeah,
I watched
I
other
get it.
people play it.
Yeah. Oh God, I wish you could go back there now. And well, I don't know why. You can go to an arcades anyway, but I love the idea of going
Yeah.
back to where it
Well,
was.
yeah, that one's...
Okay, thanks for the question there. Happy Anato Quoda asks, Steve and Plunger have to play a versus game against each other. Both players get to pick a game of their choice. Which game do you both pick, and why do you think you will beat the other at it? Winner gets a year supply of breakfast cereal of your choice. That's something
I
also.
love that prize.
I know. A draw is decided on a round of Wii bowling, which is awesome as well. That's the whole evening played out there. That's a stream, isn't it? It's a stream. Oh my. Okay. What game would you want to go against me that you know you beat me at?
I guess maybe like if it was a race, I would say who can beat Streets of Rage 2 the quickest.
Oh God, you would definitely beat me.
Because it's knowing how you beat the bosses and stuff like that, and the moves and that.
Never played it on my own. I want to beat it on my own, but I beat it once with Holly. Really, imaginary Holly. She came on the stream and played it. That's I never beat it any over time. So you would definitely beat me. Yeah, you're really good at that. I think you played through that on one of your massive streams a couple of years ago.
I did that with Danny because I never played. I never played it with anybody. I always played on my own.
On your own? Wow! So that's why
someone
you
to play with on that one.
I would probably pick either Mortal Kombat 2 or Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I think. I don't know if you're good at fighting games, and I was pretty good at those back in the day. Don't know if I'm good at now, but I knew every move in Mortal Kombat 2, including all the fatalities. So
that's say, fatalities.
Everything. Yeah. I made a VHS of every fatality back in the day because I was showing off with everyone, and I was so impressed with that. But Street Fighter 2 as well, I used to be good at that. But I don't know if I was good at it because my brothers didn't want to play it, and I just somebody went on it, I just destroyed them. So
yeah, with the fighting games, I never really played them against anybody till PlayStation. So that I never played a computer really.
Played Tekken and stuff later on.
Yeah, that I did a lot of that.
Yeah,
on,
Tekken 1 and 2, I was pretty good at. And again, I'd be rubbish at all these now. But back in the day, when I was all right, yeah, I've lost all the practice now. But great question as well. Oh yeah, what would you say? What would be your cereal?
I don't know now.
Good question, isn't it?
Oh God!
You like Cocoa Pops, but like, would you really want Cocoa Pops that often, or is Cocoa Pop one of those ones you want a treat? You know what I mean? Cocoa Pop would be a treat.
Could I have a lifetime supply of the party packs, and I have lots of them?
Oh, that's a good idea. Also, I like the way you Oliver twisted that question. Could I have?
Yeah, is that okay?
No, possibly. I don't know if it's. Maybe Happy will give us that a good answer. Oh my. Again. That's a great answer. I would say multigrain, not shreddies, multigrain Cheerios. I think they're pretty good. I never get sick of those. I always love them. You know the Cheerios?
I've not had them. I've not had
You
them.
got Cheerios?
No, never had Cheerios. Look, my childhood, I was very boring. If it
I don't
weren't
know.
Frosties or Cocoa Pops, I didn't have anything else.
Yeah. Have you had golden
And you know that
nuggets?
with one now.
Yeah, golden
Which one?
nuggets. Golden
No,
nuggets.
no.
So you've had, you haven't had those. Good. I'm going to say if you had them, and like I've only had them like recently. So all right, but you could have Cheerios on the stream soon then.
I'll have to buy some to try them for the first time.
Well, you can get the
stream.
Nestle multi-pack, which has Shreddies, multi-Cheerios, and all that stuff in.
Oh, I might do that then. I'll get a pack of those.
Go those, yeah. They're like 40 grams each box rather than 30, which the Kellogg's ones do. So there you go. A little bit of a tip for you, with a bit more cereal. Anyway,
Nice.
what was the so that was the question for that. Julio says, if you could only play one game for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Right, I have to think about the game, but the game I would want it'd have to be for me a game that's purely around score, because you could always try and beat it. If it's story based, you get bored with it. I feel you would anyway. So probably for me, in a way of an arcade story, an arcade like score game would rather be Tempest game.
Yeah.
You know, it goes around the side.
Yeah,
Tempest,
that's a good game.
or what is it called? The caterpillar one. No, Centipede.
Yeah, that's a great game.
Yeah, one of those.
I think you're right, because I was originally going to say that new NES one because there's loads of challenges in. So once you get bored of one challenge, you can go back and try and beat another one. That's a good one, isn't it? But then if you're going to pick just one game, if that's a cheating, I'd go for an arcade game. I think that's a good idea. I'd go for Donkey Kong, I think, to try and get better and better and better. Yeah. Good
Say
question.
there's more score, because story-wise, you could say, a big RPG, but once you've beaten it and done all the little bits, I don't, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I normally go to Super Mario World as well, but for like a desert island thing, because I just love it so much. But I think like score-wise, if you're going to play forever, then yeah, something like an arcade game. Good answer. 62 Mike says, and this is our last question, VR hasn't taken hold as much as companies like Meta have bet on. Do you think it'll ever pick up Steam and beyond VR? Where do you see games going? And more importantly, is it a path you'll be following? I'll say no for me, because I'm a retro gamer. So I've kind of not drew a line in the sand, but I think I've like been pushed that way because things are just getting faster and faster, and I chose not to get a PlayStation 5 and all that stuff. So everything's kind of just new to me when I see all that stuff.
PlayStation 5, because it's always weird. All the years of new consoles coming out, I'm always kind of thinking, I'd love to have that. But do you know what? I've got zero interest in getting a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, I think it is, because I got an Xbox One, but even that literally gave us dust. Yeah. I still see PS4 as a newer console to me, really, to play anything. But yeah, them I've got no real interest, because nothing really big grabs me on it. But with VR, it's a weird thing with VR, because VR is a whole different experience.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't see VR as a replacement of what we got on consoles.
It's one thing to do.
I see that as an experience one. Yeah.
And I've got the Meta Quest 2, and I love it. But I'll be honest, I can't remember the last time I put it on.
Same. My Quest, I haven't used it for ages,
and I feel really guilty about it, because once I'm using it, I think it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly the same. You're blown away every time you put it on, didn't you?
It's put it on, and then there's an update, and then you're like, what's the password? And then you're suddenly like,
and space and all that, and it's extra effort.
I'm kind of interested in where gaming's going, but I'm also like, I'm very busy with like, there's so much retro stuff to play, and there's no new inspired games, and time is an issue. Every time it's like a new like feat in like gaming, it seems to be like time is involved. Like, we got this new game, and it's like 5,000 years like long, and I'm like, I don't know, I can't get into games as a platform anymore. I just haven't got the time for it.
Well, it was good. It was good when you could only afford one game for the year.
Yeah, fine.
I understand that, but
I'm not picking up an Assassin's Creed game anymore, or something like that. I can't do it. Right, that was the last question. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much for all the questions, and thank you, Plunger, for joining me on the second episode. Like, I can't believe the second episode already.
I know.
That's 2 done. Like, and the next one's gonna be 3. We're gonna, in my mind, let's see if we can get to 10. Double figures will be like.
I would love to. I absolutely would love to.
That's really good. It came along fast. This one as well, like really fast. Like,
Yeah, I
recently.
think it's going to be a long time before the next one.
And then it
Oh
just
wait,
crept
we're
up.
here.
So I put a YouTube video out the other day, and I was like, I've got to put a video out between the podcasts. I've got to do that. Now this is good because this is going to push me to put videos out, so I can do that, and not so it doesn't just turn into a podcast channel. So I'm going to say that to you, Plunger. I want you to start putting YouTube videos out.
Yeah, I need to. Yeah, kick up the bum for that.
And I put Plunger's link in the bottom there to his YouTube channel. Go and give him a follow, and also like tell him in the comments to start making videos. Okay, let's put some peer pressure on him.
I've got the ideas. I just need to film them.
Just do them. Right, guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time in episode 3. Woof. Bye bye.
Okay, boy.